Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nazia, MPhil scholar, Department of Applied Psychology, Women University of Multan. My research paper is a qualitative study to explore the mental health challenges, coping and support among the recent flood victims in Dijihan, Pakistan. Introduction and background. Disasters are very common and they are associated with severe loss of property, community disruption, and hardship. Natural disasters, including flood, has great major impact on human life and land. Asia, due to its geographical location, considered one of the most prone areas which is mostly affected by flood. These disasters produce many adverse consequences as a result of loss of property, loss of land, lack of social support, damages of infrastructure, and also causes psychological disorder like depression, anxiety, PTSD. Studies on disorder and psychological disasters and psychological distress due to the flood, hurricane, earthquakes are limited. Literature review. Extreme weather conditions and depression may have a long-term influence on communities. The literature on mood problems following extreme weather linked to the climate change is extensive. For instance, we discovered serious depression symptoms in a quarter of people following wildfires, which is comparable with another study that's just a third of participants may have major depression. In a comprehensive analysis of flood events conducting globally, higher level of depression were discovered 2 years after the occurrence, while elevated major depressive symptoms persisted for 18 months after a wildfire. Gap in the study. The research was significant because previous studies conducted on psychological disorder that affect mental health and well-being of flood affectees, but emphasis was quite low on impact of perceived social support on mental health and well-being of flood affectees. In Pakistan, there are not enough research on flood affectees that focus on perceived social support and coping strategies and effects on mental health and well-being of flood affectees. Current study. The rationale of the study is all the studies were done on the mental health on flood affectees, limited studies present on social support. In this study, we focus on social support and coping strategies in flood victims, how they cope up from these trauma. Objectives: to explore the effect of flood on individual life and community, to investigate the relationship of exposure to traumatic event and subsequent event, onset of post-traumatic stress disorder in the population exposed to flood in the Pakistan, to determine the prevalence of stress, anxiety, depression, and most post-traumatic stress disorder among adults exposed to flood in the Pakistan, to explore the coping strategies and social support in the flood victims. The search question: what effect did the flood have on your life? How much damage did you have due to flood? How many casualties were there? Did you get any help due to the flood? Social assistance, financial assistance. After this incident, did your connection with the Allah become strong or weaker? Did you feel fear, anxiety, stress, depression at the thought of an accident? Where do you stand financially? What strategies have you adopted for the future due to flood? Methodology, population and sampling procedure. Participants were taken from two areas of district DGK, Basti, Kocha, Badani, Magrotha, Tausa Sharif, which is badly affected from flood 2022. Participants from 18 years to 40 years were taken using thematic analysis of qualitative research. In-depth interviews were conducted from participants, maximum 30 minutes per individual. We approach them in flood area by permission and giving informed consent. We take interview of 15 individuals in two different areas. Interview is conducted in Urdu and Saraiki for participant convenience. Interview is audio tape record and later transcribed into English. Instrument interview method was chosen for the purpose of data collection, for which interview guide was prepared with the help of the supervisor and by reading the related literature. Interview guide consists of 8 questions. Procedure: institution approval were taken from the relevant authority to collect the data. Then informed consent will be provided by ensuring participants to have their provided information confidential, and data will be collected by semi-structured interview through purposive sampling technique. The whole discussion was recorded in an audio device such as recorded and notes. were taken and interview were fully transcribed in a next step. The participants were informed about the purpose of the study and every respondent was asked for their consent and all of them participated voluntarily for this research activity. The duration of the interview was 40 to 50 minutes. Inclusion and exclusion criteria, those who were willing allowed to participate included. Those who were between age 18 to 70 were included. Those who reside in the Multan were not included. Those who were not willing to participate was excluded. Below 18-year or above 85-year-old people were excluded. Residue of the thematic analysis. Under the thematic analysis, the transcript was studied repeatedly and different patterns were identified. These patterns were then organized into a number of themes and sub-themes, allowing for an in-depth understanding of personal perception of the respondent. Results. Here are the three themes: challenges, support system, coping. Sub-themes: effects in life, financial loss, mental health, financial aid from the government, social or relative support, and religious coping. Effects in life: we have never experienced so much rain, water, flood. The disaster were never seen in life. See the 50 feet hole in the ground, and guess what? Now this land is not suitable for growing the crops to a land or a house. Everyone's land was one next to each other. Mine was 3 bighas of land. At the time, the price of 1 bigha is about 10 to 15 lakh, which I have lost about 60 lakh. My house has been destroyed. Conclusion: the finding of the current study focus on challenge faced by the flood victims and focus on the coping strategies in flood victims, how they cope up with the trauma. In Pakistan, there are limited studies present on flood situation, mental health risk, coping, social support. The current study finding has revealed that flood had impact on the life of flood affectees. They have lost their crops, land, house. Flood has also impact on their mental health like depression, anxiety, stress. They receive social support and use coping strategies like religious coping on believing Allah's existence to cope up from this trauma. Limitations: population is rare and size of population is small. Research finding cannot be generalized the finding to the whole population of the flood affectees. Limited research literature on social support and religious coping related to well-being and positive mental health of flood affectees. Suggestions: the future research should be conducted on large sample so that better generalization may be made. More areas should be increased in the research. Participants should be taken from other areas which is affected by the flood. Sample size can be increased to the other sides of the Pakistan. Several social factors or behaviors should be selected by future researchers to explore more positively among flood affectees. Thank you so much.